All right, so today I'm talking about the detox and cleanse industries, which are worth billions of dollars a year. There's like teas, there's juices, supplements, colonics. A lot of promises come from them. You see them everywhere on social media. If you're on Instagram, TikTok, something like that, they might be trying to sell to you. So I just want to go through the science really of how detoxing works, what the detox systems are in the body, and what the juices and other things do as well. So yeah, well, let's get into it. All right, so I'll start with the good news, which is that your body already has a detox system. It's your liver, your kidneys, and some other stuff, and they work for free. So you don't have to spend any money on all of these detoxes. So I think the first red flag to bring up is toxins. So the term toxin, whenever you hear these detoxes, they can never tell you exactly what toxin they're removing, right? So in real medicine, if you're talking about a toxin, it has a specific meaning, like heavy metal, venom maybe from a snake, poison if you've ingested poison, drug overdose. All of these have specific antidotes and treatments, and they're administered in a hospital, not a smoothie. But in these cleanse marketing, toxins are intentionally vague. So it's whatever you're worried about, right? So you can get processed food, pollution, stress, sugar, maybe bad juju. So whatever it is, that vagueness is the point. So if the toxin is never named, the cleanse can never fail to remove it. So pretty smart on their part as well. So I mentioned it earlier, your body actually has a free system that detoxes your body, which is a few different organs. I'm going to go into how that works. The first is the liver. Your liver is the main filter. It chemically transforms a lot of these harmful substances, including alcohol, a lot of medications, environmental chemicals come in, ammonia after you break down protein. This goes into forms that can be safely excreted. So your liver does this through a two-step process, phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification that has hundreds of enzymes. We won't go into it. But the second one is your kidneys. So these are like your water filter. So if your body was a fish tank, they would kind of filter your entire blood volume 30 times a day. And that yellow color that you see in your pee is the water-soluble waste being sent out as urine. So you want like a little bit of yellow to see that it's working. If it's too dark yellow, sometimes that just means you're dehydrated. We'll move on to the next one, which is your colon. So your colon moves out the solid waste. You know what that is. So basically that excretion is whatever food the body doesn't need, plus a bunch of dead bacteria and stuff that's in your colon. The next one is your lungs. So your lungs exhale carbon dioxide. It's like an exhaust pipe, right? So on a car. So it's really every time you breathe out, it's getting rid of this carbon dioxide, a waste product. The last one is your skin. So your skin does sweat out a small amount of waste, but it's very negligible, far less than what people think. And sweat is mostly to cool you down. So I think all these saunas and cleanses crowds, you can't sweat out toxins in a meaningful way. I'll talk about the support you can give it, but it's really like water, sleep, fiber, stuff like that. I'll go into depth to it later. All right, so I'm going to go into one of the colon cleanse issues right now. So one is that people I see online claiming that there's a lot of built up waste in your colon. Some people have 5, 10, even 20 pounds they claim have impacted fecal matter, coating their intestines. There's even a story about John Wayne that he died with 40 pounds of red meat in his colon, which there's no truth to that story. It's just something people say. So actually, the lining of your colon sheds and replaces itself every few days. Doctors look inside your colon with colonoscopies millions of times a year, and if there was a hidden layer of toxic gunk, it'd be visible. It's just not there. So this myth is actually a lot of videos online where they mix together two ingredients. So one is bentonite clay, the other is psyllium fiber. So when you see these two together, I found a bunch of influencers on YouTube. So they mix these two ingredients and they form this kind of like gross, like ropey strands that come out. And, they kind of call it like toxic stuff. They call it mucoid plaque. They say all kinds of stuff and they do these videos. But what's really funny or interesting, I guess, is that the product that they're talking about is actually what that mix creates. So if you mix those two things together, the clay and the fiber, it creates that ropey, gross stuff. So it has nothing to do with what's in your body. You basically put these two things together, create the thing that you cause the problem, and then show the problem being solved. So yeah, it's not cleansing shit literally and figuratively. It's just doing nothing, you're putting these two things together, and then that's exactly what you're pooping out. So yeah, that was an interesting one for me. The next one is going to be colonics and colon hydrotherapy. So colonic is pushing a large volume of water through the colon. People claim it removes toxins, boosts energy, clears your mind. I remember Robin Quivers on the Howard Stern show used to do this with coffee. Yeah, she used to do coffee enemas, which is wild. Not the wildest thing on that show, but is a true thing that she used to talk about. But what it actually shows evidence-wise is that there's no real health benefits of doing this. You do risk having electrolyte imbalances, very small but real risk of bowel perforation, which would be a real emergency. It definitely disrupts the gut microbiome. So all those helpful bacteria you spent your life cultivating also get flushed out. Yeah, I think this is pretty clear. The American medical community is clear that the only legitimate reason to do this kind of colonoscopy flush is a preparation for colonoscopy or surgery. All right, the next one I'm going to talk about are these detox teas. So you see these like promise a flat stomach in 14 days and all these things. They're an interesting mechanism because there's laxatives. So you know what a laxative is, right? So the active ingredient in these teas is usually senna or cascara sometimes. So these are herbal stimulant laxatives. They basically irritate your bowel into contracting, and it'll flush things out. But so you do lose weight short term. It's of course water and stool weight, not fat. So those before and after belly photos are either them sucking it in, AI edited, or really just the difference between a full colon and an empty one when you're eating. So I'll say there are good teas that kind of will naturally do stuff, but these ones with senna, cascara, some other things that are just laxatives, there's no real problem with the laxative tea. Just call it what it is, right? It is a laxative. You don't want to get a dependency on a laxative, which would make the bowel stop moving on its own, and you'll need higher and higher doses, just like other stuff. And yeah, senna is safe for short-term occasional constipation relief, but not as like a daily wellness habit. So just keep that in mind. The last one is going to be juice cleanses. So this pitch is like drink only juice for 3, 5, 7 days, and it like resets your system. So what's actually happening is that you are consuming a low calorie, low protein, but high sugar liquid diet. You will lose weight because you're barely eating. Good time to note that calories in, calories out is the only true weight loss mechanism that we're looking at here. So anything that people pitch or say, I'm not eating that much and I'm still gaining weight, that's all nonsense. It's really, you'll lose weight if you have more calories out than in over a period of time. So anyways, you will lose weight with this. I wouldn't say it's good for you though. So some of the downsides are it strips the fiber out of fruits and vegetables, which is most of their actual benefit. The fruit juice actually will actually spike your blood sugar. So that's not great. So for diabetics, people with kidney issues, these juice cleanses can cause medical problems. Or if you're on certain medications, I remember there used to be black box warnings for certain meds when you prescribe them on e-prescribing platforms that would say, certain things you absolutely cannot take with this medication. So yeah, I think if you want the benefits of fruits and vegetables, just eat them. The fiber is really the point that does a lot of the great things. So now that I've talked about these 4 things I've seen online, I said it's already free, but what can you do to help it do its job better? So the boring ones are really water, right? So that's your kidneys. I talked about the different systems, right? So you think about water for your kidneys. It keeps them flushing things out. For your colon, this is just regular. You could take fiber, just eat things that are high in fiber. You could just Google or ask ChatGPT or whatever AI you use, what are some foods high in fiber, and just eat those. Sleep is a big one too. So your brain has like a waste clearing mechanism also when you're sleeping. Like you can remember a lot of stuff in the morning if you had a good night's sleep. And then again, just to think about the other things that I talked about, right? Your liver is a major thing. So drink less alcohol or no alcohol, your liver functions better. We talked about lungs and how you exhale carbon dioxide. So don't smoke, your lungs will thank you. And then just movement, circulation helps every system do its job better. So none of this is like fancy or promising it's going to do anything, but it's not like a $89 cleanse kit, and these actually work. So yeah, I think if you do feel like you've been poisoned by modern life and the solutions in one of these ideas that have been pitched here, I think it is like a very seductive idea because it does offer control, simplicity, and makes a lot of claims, especially these generic toxin things. But your body isn't really a clogged drain. It's more of a continuously self-cleaning system that's been refined over a long, long time, and it really runs more on water, sleep, fiber, and time. So hopefully you can figure out that the one that's going to be the best cleanse for you is going to be your liver and the other systems I mentioned, and take care of those, and you should be living your best life. All right, thanks.